If you're plugged into the world of software development, you know the ground beneath your keyboard is shifting.
Massively.
We are so far past the days where AI was just a clever autocomplete.
Oh, absolutely.
We're moving from those, tedious manual hours hunting down some invisible bug to a future where AI isn't just suggesting the next line. It's writing entire modules.
It's a quantum leap, really. I mean, we've fundamentally left that era of isolated craftsmanship.
Right.
We're in a new paradigm where the machine handles the mechanics and the human. Well, the human handles the strategy.
And the model that is really defining this new era is Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.5. It landed in November 2025, and it's a hybrid reasoning model, that is. It's changing what coding assistant even means.
And what's so fascinating here is that it's not just a bigger LLM. It's not just more parameters. It was engineered specifically to excel in these autonomous agent workflows, these complex multi-step engineering jobs.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We want to demystify why Opus 4.5 is seen as the supreme AI coding assistant right now.
And we need to get past the marketing hype.
Exactly. We're going to analyze its real-world impact using the hard academic evidence we pulled together for you.
I think the essential takeaway here for you is that this tool, it isn't just about making you code faster. It's about elevating software engineering itself.
It's like a collaboration.
A cosmic collaboration between human intent and machine execution. It lets the developer focus on the really high-level problems.
So let's start with some context. Think about development a decade ago.
Long hours.
Manual fixes, intense deadline pressure. Now, fast forward to today, December 2025. The data we reviewed is it's crystal clear. AI is not a luxury.
No, it's the turbocharge.
That's a great way to put it. It's the turbocharge for modern dev teams.
And that turbo analogy, it's backed by some serious industry data. The sources we looked at point to a major 2025 report from McKinsey. It showed that developers who are actively using AI assistants are coding between 20 and a staggering 50% faster.
20 to 50%. That's not a small gain.
It's transformative.
That's time you get back for things like architectural planning or complex problem solving or, just not burning out.
Exactly. And that speed is already translating directly into output.
Oh.
A recent Carnegie Mellon study noted that over 30% of the code in real production-level projects
30%
is already being generated or heavily assisted by these tools. The adoption is just massive.
But speed is only half the story, right? This is where Opus 4.5's technical specs really start to pull it away from the pack.
The key technical advantage is context. It just boils down to context. Opus 4.5 has an enormous 200,000 token context window.
Okay, let's stop there because that has huge implications. What does a 200K context window actually mean for you when you're coding?
It means the model can ingest and understand basically the context of an entire mid to large size code base all at once.
So when you're debugging and the error in, say, module A is actually caused by some weird interaction with module Z,
right?
A smaller model can't see that. It just gives you some generic, useless suggestion.
Precisely. Because Opus can hold this repository-wide context, it doesn't lose the architectural thread. It acts more like a unified architectural consultant.
So the fixes it suggests are just inherently better.
Much more accurate.
Bruh.
Because they fit the established structure of the entire project. It understands the whole, not just the part.
And what really surprised us in the source material is that despite this massive leap in capability, it's also cheaper.
It is, significantly. Opus 4.5 operates at a 67% lower price point than its predecessor.
So this high-end repository-aware reasoning is suddenly way more accessible.
For everyone, individual developers, small startups, companies that previously might have balked at the cost.
Now, we absolutely have to give a nod to the competition.
Of course.
OpenAI's GPT 5.1, Google's Gemini 3, these are incredibly powerful models.
They're strong competitors, no doubt. But the sources suggest Opus 4.5 is leading the pack for a specific reason.
And that is?
It focuses on superior performance and complex reasoning. It moves way beyond just, simple function completion.
So let's turn to the hard metrics, the data that proves the supremacy.
Right. The ultimate test for any coding model right now is SWE Bench.
And for anyone who isn't familiar, SWE Bench is so important because it's not just asking the AI to complete a little snippet of code.
No, it's brutal. It tests the model's ability to resolve real-world software issues pulled directly from GitHub repositories. messy, complicated problems.
And on those actual complex problems, Opus 4.5 achieved an impressive 80.9% resolution rate.
That victory is not marginal. It's not a small step. It shows a fundamental leap in its ability to reason through ambiguous, messy, real-world code.
And how significant is that 80.9% when you put it next to the competition?
Well, in this race, even a few percentage points are massive. They represent a critical gap in core reasoning ability.
So the numbers were?
GPT 5.1 came in at 75.2%, and Gemini 3 at 78.4%. Opus 4.5 demonstrated a clear, measurable superiority in solving the hardest problems.
And let's revisit that cost factor, because efficiency isn't just about speed.
No, it's about financial viability. Can you afford to run these massive models constantly in your CI/CD pipeline?
Right.
When we look at the cost per million tokens, Opus 4.5 is priced very competitively. It's about $5 for input and $25 for output.
In GPT 5.1.
It averages higher, $10 for input, $30 for output. For an enterprise or even a startup that's automating heavily, choosing Opus means you get superior performance while spending less.
It's a genuinely disruptive force for budget allocation.
Absolutely.
So the data proves its technical and financial dominance. Let's dig into the unique capabilities that are actually powering those numbers.
One key feature is just its elite coding skill. In certain tasks, especially those focused on Python within the AIME 2025 benchmark, Opus 4.5 hit 100% accuracy.
100%.
Now, the source has highlighted a necessary caveat here about potential data contamination in the training set.
Why, of course.
But even with that caveat, near-perfect execution suggests that in a clean environment, the model is just astonishingly reliable for certain tasks.
And it goes beyond just writing lines of code.
It does. It really excels in autonomous agents. It's not just suggesting code anymore. It's creating entire workflows.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. In the vending bench test, which measures success in long multi-step goals, Opus 4.5 won 29% more often than its sister model, Sonnet 4.5.
Which means?
It means it can independently navigate a complex repository, fix one issue, run the tests, see they pass, and then move on to fix the next related issue, all without constant hand-holding.
And that deep integration is key, right? Especially for the established enterprise stack.
Precisely. It's deeply embedded in major platforms like AWS Bedrock and Google Vertex AI, and it integrates seamlessly with VS Code.
So you're not fighting to use it?
No. And an IBM study from 2025 showed this efficiency translates directly to real-world metrics. It reduces keystrokes by 30% and accelerates commit frequency by 13.5%.
Yeah.
This is real velocity.
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on benchmarks and data, which is great. But let's shift the focus now entirely to you, the developer who's listening.
Yes.
What does this mean for your daily reality? For those moments of frustration and those moments of flow?
The story really shifts from megatokens and percentages to, well, to hours saved and confidence gained.
The sources had a fantastic anecdote that really crystallizes this. It was about the every dot to code base.
Right, the bug fix.
Imagine the sheer relief of having Opus 4.5 fix a critical, long-standing bug in a major code base like that in just minutes.
It saves potentially countless hours of manual, frustrating debugging.
That's the difference between hitting a tight deadline and having to, cancel your weekend.
It completely changes the emotional landscape of coding. The work is more efficient, and it's significantly more pleasant. It augments the human.
I have to ask you about the productivity boost for new coders, because the sources detail a really fascinating experiment from METR in 2025.
This is crucial data.
This seems to be a key demographic where Opus 4.5 makes a huge difference.
It is. So earlier, more generic AI models tested in early 2025, they actually made some open source developers about 19% slower.
Slower? How?
Because AI would give these generic, contextless suggestions that the junior developer then had to spend time fighting with and correcting.
So it's creating more work than it saved.
Exactly. Opus 4.5 completely reverses that trend. It shows a massive 26% productivity gain specifically for junior developers.
And why is that?
The sources point out that it's because Opus 4.5 is a context-aware. It understands the architecture, the specific frameworks, React, PyTorch, whatever, and it provides code that is immediately applicable. It acts more like a senior engineer reviewing their pull requests.
It's not just spitting out code, it's providing code that actually adheres to the project standards. That's a huge shortcut on the learning curve.
It is, and this is all part of a larger trend. A 2024 Science Direct survey of 1,500 developers found that 70% were already using AI for the mundane stuff.
Like writing texts and documentation.
Exactly. Opus simply takes those efficiencies and applies them to the really complex, high-stakes tasks as well.
Okay, so if we step back, Opus 4.5 is revolutionary, but no tool is perfect. And this is a deep dive, not a marketing pitch.
Right.
So we need to look at the challenges with what the source material called honest, brutal evidence.
And these issues aren't meant to be stop signs. They're crucial engineering boundaries that we have to understand and manage.
The first one, and maybe the most concerning, is the risk of, well, over-reliance. What happens when the assistant becomes a crutch?
This was the major concern flagged by a UC San Diego study in 2025.
Okay.
So while Opus boosts a novice developer's confidence by 40%, which is great for morale, those same developers showed 25% less skill in follow-up exams that were taken without the AI.
So their fundamental understanding degrades.
That's the danger. The challenge for you as a developer is to use Opus as a coach that explains the why, not just a vending machine that gives you the answer.
And if the AI is generating a third or more of our code, how confident can we be in its security? That's a huge quality control issue.
It absolutely is. Nature Computational Science published an alert in 2025 noting that AI generates security vulnerabilities in 10 to 15% of scientific code cases.
10 to 15%, that's not a small number.
And these aren't just minor typos. They're often subtle logical flaws. This just reinforces what we call the human remains, the quality assurance supreme rule.
Automation must always meet human oversight.
Always.
Yeah.
Especially for security-critical code.
That figure is sobering. We also have to touch on the big ethical and adoption challenges that come with any model trained on this much data.
Yes, the training data itself is an unavoidable problem. Biases that are baked into the original data can perpetuate what the sources call cultural bugs in the output.
Leading to unfair outcomes.
Potentially, yes. We need to implement ethical checks within the development cycle itself to make sure the AI-generated code is robust and fair, not just efficient.
And despite all these benefits, adoption isn't totally consistent, is it?
That's right. IBM data from 2025 shows only about 60–70% of developers use these tools consistently. There's a real gap in team training.
So if half the team is using it and half isn't.
The whole project gets bottlenecked by the least optimized workflow. Integration and training are absolutely essential.
And finally, the access issue. If all this power is gated behind expensive enterprise platforms, that creates a real barrier.
It does. Cost is still a major barrier for juniors and for developers in emerging nations. The sources really highlighted the crucial importance of open-source agents like Goose.
As a way to democratize access.
Exactly. To ensure this innovation is widespread, not just siloed in a few privileged corporate environments.
When you look at all those challenges together, dependency, security, bias, they feel like major hurdles.
I see them as the next set of complex engineering problems. They are invitations to innovate, to make sure that as we move faster, we're also moving safely and ethically.
What an incredible analysis. I think we've moved past the initial awe of the launch and really looked at the realistic implications of Opus 4.5.
I think so.
The core finding is clear. Opus 4.5 is the MVP in 2025. It accelerates, it debugs, and it democratizes sophisticated coding. It translates developer productivity into raw, innovative power.
It really is the rise of the augmented developer. By offloading all the mechanical, trivial work, the AI becomes a superpower. It allows the human to focus entirely on novel solutions.
The whole discussion, I think, is perfectly summarized by a line we found cited in one of the MIT papers we reviewed.
I know the one you mean.
The AI frees us for the novel, the human is left for the ethical. That really is the new definition of a coder's role.
It's a complete repositioning of value.
So if AI frees up nearly half of your current productivity, that potential 45% boost, what truly novel, ethical, or complex human problem will you focus on solving next? That's the challenge we leave you with.